Okay, so folks, this is Spoon TV coming to you live from the Liberian Senate. Of course, today happens to be the confirmation hearing of the Finance Minister Designate, Honorable Augustine K. Ngafua. He is going to be happening here live at the chambers of the Liberian Senate. So what you see here is a build-up. Of course, Liberians have gathered here from different entities, from different parts of the country to witness this very important confirmation hearing. And of course, from where we stand right now, you can see that the grounds of the Capitol is being gradually flooded by Liberians who are very interested in this confirmation hearing today. But beyond what you see out there in this very corridor, of course, okay, so Minister Designate is now making his way in the hall. Of course, the Minister is now making his way in. Well, there is a huge presence of security here. The Minister Designate has entered in the chambers of the Liberian Senate. So in terms of security, there is a very huge security presence here today. And of course, just a little background, Mr. Augustine K. Ngafua, born April 7, 1970, served as the Minister of Finance, that's Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Liberia from 2012 to 2015 in the administration, or during the administration of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And that was during the first term of President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Mr. Ngafua served as we're trying to make that adjustment. No, we have to take this position. No, we can't leave from this position. Yeah, sure. Okay. So, folks, sorry for that interruption. So, this is not his first time in this role. He served as the Minister of Foreign Affairs from 2012 to 2015 during the tenure of President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Mr. Ngafua was Finance Minister of the Republic of Liberia during the first term of President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and as Finance Minister, he served in that position for so many years. And of course, he later then moved to the ministry. Okay, so folks, sorry for the interruption. There's a little bit of tension here, and so we will now shortly we will now have to halt this update due to the kind of tension we have here today. Of course, there is a little bit of tension here, so we'll have to halt this. But you can see the chairman of the committee responsible for this confirmation hearing, Senator Prince Kemumwe, who happens to be the chairman of Ways Means Finance at the Liberian Senate, is trying to make sure that things are in order here for this very important confirmation hearing.
I won't get a controller directly.
Okay, so I think we all set now. So in a moment from now, the confirmation hearing will be starting officially. But just to give a little background, as we tried doing earlier, the Finance Minister Designate has now taken his seat. He served as Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Liberia in the administration of President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf from 2012 to 2015. Mr. Ngafua also served as Minister of Finance of the Republic of Liberia during President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's first term, and he was then appointed to the post of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to serve in that position on the 17th of January 2012. He took office on February 10, 2012, succeeding Toga McIntosh at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Liberians across the country are all geared up for this confirmation hearing today. As you see, the Finance Minister designate already seated there, awaiting the start of this very important hearing. The place is crowded. The grounds of the capital is charged.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. Thank you for restoring
Chairman Prince Moy.
Order in the chamber. Thank you. We have the protocol, confirmation hearing of Honorable Augustine K, Ngafua, Minister of Finance, Designate, Republic of Liberia, held at the Liberian Senate Chamber, Capitol Building, Capitol Hill, Monrovia, Liberia. Conducted by the Liberian Senate Committee on Ways, Means, Finance, and Budget on September 5th, 2024 at Addis Ababa. We have the proceeding, order of the proceeding here. We have opening prayer that will be done by the Senate chaplain. We have formal, please correct that, formal opening of the hearing, formal, MAL, that's a typo error. We are administering the oath by the Sergeant at Arms of the Liberian Senate. Welcome remarks will be done by Senator Creighton Duncan, the Vice Chair for this unique committee. Of course, the Chairperson will make the opening remark also. And then again, formal presentation by the nominee, at least for 15 minutes. We'll have interactions with the nominee, and then all members of the Senate, including the public will interact with the nominees through us, through the chairman, based on written concern or question. Then we'll have closing remarks by the chairman, and then closing prayer by the chaplain. Then we adjourn this hearing and retreat into committee room. So with the agenda read, I will want a motion by any committee member for it to be adopted so that it be used as a working tool to guide us during this confirmation hearing. A motion. The Honorable Wellington G. Von Smith of River says.
Honorable Chairman, distinguished members of the Ways, Means, Finance Committee of the Liberian Senate, I move that if I can obtain a second, that the agenda just read for the confirmation proceedings of the Minister of Finance designate be accepted and be used.
Senator Wellington G. Von Smith.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. The proposed agenda just read be used as a working tool. Are you ready to vote? Yeah. Those in favor say yea. Yeah. Against? With the overwhelming yea, this agenda has been adopted. We will now take prayer from the chaplain of the Senate.
Honorable Chairman, distinguished senators, before I pray, I want to read a scripture and just give a few minutes of silence to the minister designate and I pray. We read from St. John chapter 21, verse 15. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than thee? Yes, Lord, he answered. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my lambs. Again, in verse 16, Jesus asked again and said, Simon, son of John, do you truly love me? He answered, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. With that note, I want to ask you, Minister Destiny, this afternoon, do you love Liberia? You don't have to answer me. If you truly love Liberia, then you must think Liberia. And be Liberia, all your knowledge to oversee that ministry designated effort. And do it with earnesty. Do it with diligence. Do it that the Liberian people will move forward and be able to move forward to build our country. Like Jesus said, he asked the question 3 times. Do you love me? And he answered yes. I hope you love Liberia to help Liberia in that area of destiny and effort. May God help you to do so. Without God, you will fail. Keep that in mind. With all God, you will fail. And when Jesus asked this question, he was trying to really challenge Peter to feed his lamb, those that were going to be in his care. Liberia money will be in your care. Take good care of it. Manage it well, that Liberia will move forward. Let's pray. Father, we pray for this day. We thank you for the great men of our time. Lord, that they have come to Lord inquire for this great son of our land. We pray that your grace sustain them. Help them to do so. Our country will move forward. In Jesus' name we pray.
You want to formally open the hearing? I have the gavel. You want to take it?
Yes, sir.
Please get it to him. Oh, okay.
Honorable Chairman and members of this committee, I'm pleased to call the comprehensive hearing of Honorable Augustine K, Ngafua, Minister of Finance Designate, to full order, and this is by so order.
Thank you. We'll ask the Sergeant at Arms to administer the oath to the Minister Designate.
Sergeant at Arms.
I, Augustine K, Ngafua, Minister Designate, Ministry of Finance and Development Planning.
Bonifaz citizen of the Republic of Liberia.
Bonafide citizen of the Republic of Liberia.
Do hereby swear
Do hereby swear
that the testimony I'm about to give
that the testimony I'm about to give
and to my recollection
and my recollection
is the truth
is the truth,
and nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
And so help me God.
Chair, the witness on the stand is qualified.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. We'll now take the welcome remarks from the Right Honorable Senator Creighton Duncan, the Vice Chair of this committee.
Thank you, Chair. The Chair will set the rules for this hearing, and I will welcome all of us, and then each senator present here will introduce him or herself, and there's particularly himself, and after that, then the chairman will come in and set the rules for this hearing. So before I officially welcome on you, let us to start the introduction so you can know who sit before you. And we'll start from the extreme left.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Co-Chairman. My name is Cyrus. I represent Ngafua County and the Chair of National Security Affairs, Intelligence and Veteran Affairs.
Senator Momo Cyrus, Ngafua County.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Co-Chair, distinguished colleagues, Mr. Nominee, I'm Senator Edwin Melvin Jr., and I chair the Committee on Hydrocarbon Energy and Environment, and I represent Bowman County.
Thank you, the Chair, Co-Chair, members of the committee. I'm Leslie Milton Finlay, Senator of Grand Rapids County. I chair the Subcommittee on Revenue, and I'm a member of the Ways and Means Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ken Brown, Senator of Maryland County, and member of this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. My name is Senator Joseph Jama, Senior Senator of Ngafua County, Chairman of the Department Legislative Caucus, Chairman Banking and Currency, Co-Chair Judiciary Committee, and member of this honorable committee.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair and Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. My name is Emmanuel Ngafua. I represent the great county of Makibi and the Ngafua Senate, and I'm the chair of the Committee on Public Corporations and also a member of the Ways, Means and Finance Committee. Thank you.
My name is Wellington Jevon Smith. I represent the group people of Resources. I chair the Agricultural, Forestry, and Fisheries Committee of the Liberia Senate, and also a member of the Ways and Means Committee. Nathaniel McGill, Senator of Miami County, Chair on Education, member of the Public Accountability.
So the senators are still introducing themselves.
I represent the people of Roses County.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Jonathan Charles Summit, Chairman from the International Maritime Affairs, and a member of this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I'm Yana H.Y. Jr. of Nimba County, a ranking member of this committee, the chairman of the Senate Modernization Committee.
I'm Simeon Boymontino from Crankit County, member of the committee, and I chair the Committee on Lands and Mines.
And Creighton O. Duncan from Sino County, Vice Chair on this committee and Chairman on the Autonomous Committee.
Prince K. Moy from Bone County, Chairman of this committee.
So, Honorable, we'd like to welcome you for the Senate Committee of Ways, Means and Finance. We know that this is the second time appearing before the Senate, making nice and listening carefully to the questions and being thoughtful by distinguished colleagues, and feel at home in answering to convince this committee that when we are into our committee room, you will know that you are ready to handle the responsibility that the President has conferred upon you. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. As a co-chair, interest and the important nature of this position. When there are public outcries about the state-owned enterprises, payroll, pay structure, not meeting the current day reality, it is the Minister of Finance that is almost on all the board as a statutory member. And by law,
those SOEs budget supposed to be presented to the minister for scrutiny and incorporated in the draft national budget. If hospitals, clinics, schools across the country, road projects are not ongoing, it is the Minister of Finance that's supposed to have that oversight responsibility in dividing the national cake as appropriated by the national legislature. If there are powers through in any ministry or agency's budget that were not established by this legislature, it is at the consent of the minister that those pass-throughs are made. And if a ministry or agency is overspending, it is at the consent of the minister that those ministry and agencies are overspending their budget that was appropriated by the legislature. So your position is very, very key as provided for by the Public Financial Management Act. That act is very, very, very important to the fiscal management of our country. And anyone that is nominated to fill in that gap, you owe the Liberian people a very huge tax to perform. And that's why we have been called today to make a presentation for your suitability for this role. Where Liberia will be few months after ascendancy. Will we still be hearing about budget alteration? Will we going to still be hearing about the legislature overspending its budget? Will we still be hearing about NSA accessing money that was not appropriated by the legislature? Will we still be hearing about the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs paying more people than what they should be paying? Because you are the minister that's supposed to be disbursing and going by the budget law that we will make it. Will we still be hearing? Will we still be hearing about all the different payments at the central bank? And that's your work. So it's not just an easy work. It's not just an easy task. And we get the bulk of this thing coming to us as a legislature. Push our falls before our oversight is been done, the damage has already been caused by those that are presiding over those different institutions. So, Mr. Minister Designate, I'd like to make that opening remark so that you are aware. I know you are aware, but just to say it openly. Because the public may not be aware that you're supposed to know what is happening in the SOEs, in the second in the process. You're supposed to know what our current debt portfolio is. And you're supposed to know what we appropriate to pay debt to our domestic people in the international community. Those debts have to be serviced. That you're supposed to know that our ECOWAS free levy has to be paid to our West African body. So all of those will come at your lap when those things are not executed. So with that said, I want to take this time to set the rules for this hearing. And it's that simple. We have adopted the agenda that will guide us. We're going to give you 15 minutes to do your presentation, after which senators will raise their questions or concerns based on recognition by the chairperson, or in my absence, the vice chair. Then after that, we'll give the public the opportunity to interact with you through a written constraint or question that will be brought there by the Sergeant of Arms. And after that, we'll now close and revert to committee room to decide on your suitability. Then the senators we have, at most, I know some people will have issues here, at most 3 minutes. At most 3 minutes.
No, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Chair.
At most how many minutes?
10.
10? Okay, we can stay here as long as we wish. Yeah, we can stay here as long as we wish. Yeah, I understand. We can stay here up to 8, 9. We are prepared for that. Even 12 minutes, we are here for that. Thank you for that correction. So senators will have the latitude to ask questions as they may feel pleased to ask. So with that said, we want to give the minister designate the opportunity before you present the broad, other people, you can just make a short introduction before your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and honorable members of this august committee. I came accompanied by family members, friends, and I wouldn't want to spend too much time in introductions, but the family is represented here by my elder sister, Ms. Ruth Maywood, and then my father, Dr. Robert Poto, and let me recognize my wife, who is not here presently, Mrs. Martha Ngafua, and other members of the family who couldn't make it physically. But let me recognize Acting Minister Anthony J. Myers, Acting Minister of Finance, and also Deputy Minister Maggie Jones, and all my friends and well-wishers present and following virtually. If you may indulge me, can I make the formal presentation? Mr. Chairman and members of the Ways, Means, Finance and Budget Committee, I come in genuflection to the Almighty God, the omnipotent, the omniscient, and the omnipresent, who has made this day possible. I live profuse thanks to President Joseph Newman Boyka for the faith he has reposed in me by nominating me to lead our nation's fiscal house. I thank the leadership of the Honorable Liberian Senate, the chair and members of the Ways, Means, Finance and Budget Committee, as well as the entire Liberian Senate for giving me this opportunity to discuss the vision I intend to pursue, if confirmed, for the position of Minister of Finance and Development Planning. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my nomination by President Boyka can be likened to a commander-in-chief summoning a reservist, an old soldier back to the battlefront. I therefore approach this task with the utmost humility and passion, and solemnly pledge to men and God that I will use all the fibers of my being in the noble mission of defending the nation's cause and putting Liberia first above all else. I know that the challenges ahead are gargantuan, and so too are the expectations of the Liberian people and friends of Liberia. I must concede that I don't come with the magic wand to wave from milk and honey to instantly begin to flow on Broad Street and other parts of our dear country. We will take some quick actions to make things better. But we are also cognizant of the fact that some of the challenges We will confront are complex and multifaceted, and addressing them will be a time-intensive and multi-stakeholder exercise. At this juncture, Mr. Chairman, and honorable members of this august committee, please indulge me for a few minutes as I endeavor to share with you some of the key priorities I intend to pursue, if confirmed. 1. Effective resource allocation by prioritizing our priorities. We need to ensure that the resources we raise through domestic sources, grants and loans, are directed to our nation's priorities as identified in our development agenda. To do so, we must start with crafting a credible national development agenda on which our national budget is anchored. Thanks to the team at the Ministry of Finance, our development partners, local consultants, and many others, much work has already been done in crafting the new development agenda, the Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development, the AARD. If confirmed by the Honorable Liberian Senate, one of my top priorities will be to drive the process to its logical and timely conclusion for the formal launch of the new development agenda not later than November of this year. Accordingly, we must walk our talk by ensuring that the budget for fiscal 2025, which begins in January next year, is anchored and aligned with the new development agenda, meaning the top priorities of the AARD must be the top priorities of our budget, as well as development and cooperation frameworks agreed with our partners. 2, generation of increased resources or revenue for development. The development challenges of our nation are huge. To address them, we must dedicate significant efforts to raising more resources for development. Doing so will require a panoply of strategies and interventions, including but not limited to the following. Taking more robust and sustained action to address the bounding constraints to economic growth, especially unlocking the potential of the energy sector and connecting our country with paved roads. For the energy sector, we must take a host of actions, not the least of which will be to quickly improve our power generation capacity, to increase access to electricity in both the rainy and the dry seasons, leverage the efficiencies of the private sector, particularly in power distribution, and improve the efficiency and profitability of the Liberian Electricity Corporation. We must dedicate our resources towards connecting all our counties with paved roads and maintaining all our existing farm-to-market roads and building even more farm-to-market roads. Taking concerted, robust, and timely action to address the binding constraints to growth will improve the profitability of businesses, lead to the expansion of the private sector, create jobs for more Liberians, and greatly improve domestic revenue. 2, supporting the newly launched Liberians Feed Yourselves Agenda, National Agricultural Development Plan, NADP 2024 to 2030, as it aims to, quote, provide a path for national food self-sufficiency and indigenous wealth creation through agricultural value chain development. contributing over $1.3 billion to our economy and creating job opportunities for over 60% of our workforce. The agriculture sector can be a major contributor to economic growth and revenue generation if we provide the requisite support to enable the sector to fulfill its true potential. Therefore, I intend to work hand in gloves with the Ministry of Agriculture and all the partners in the sector to fulfill the ambitious but achievable targets set in the NADP. 3. Improving the revenue generated from key sectors of our economy, including the mining sector. The mining sector was one of the key sources of growth in the Liberian economy during 2023. The World Bank reports that mineral royalties fell below target by 38%. Such troubling and contradictory reality in the mining sector points to the need for the Ministry of Finance, the Liberia Revenue Authority, the Ministry of Mines and Energy, and other relevant ministries and agencies and commissions to take a deep dive review of key revenue generating sectors with a view to understanding their true potentials, as well as the challenges and constraints hindering their revenue generation capacity. The goal would be to take appropriate actions using a one government approach to unlock the potential of such sectors. Adequately supporting the Liberia Revenue Authority and other revenue generating agencies to raise more revenue for government. We will support the LRA's intention to fully leverage technology as a way to close revenue leakages and significantly increase government revenue. We shall push all revenue generating agencies to the full extent of their potentials. But as we do so, we shall be careful lest we milk the waiting cow to death. Protecting and supporting value addition and made in Liberia initiatives through the granting of appropriate incentives and protection. This will not only increase revenue, but also create more jobs in the country. Working with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the National Port Authority, and other ministries, agencies, and commissions of government, to make it easier to register and do business in Liberia. Generally, this may require improving or re-engineering business processes to reduce the turnaround time for business processes across government as a whole. Most especially, the Liberia Business Registry, the Freeport of Monrovia, and the Ministry of Finance itself. Working in tandem with and supporting the development diplomacy agenda of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the view to leveraging our bilateral and multilateral partnerships for scale-up support to the AERD. Enhancing the credibility and efficiency of the budget process will be one of my top goals. This will entail a slew of measures, including, but not limited to, the following. 1. Realistic revenue forecasting. We shall heavily support the capacity of the Ministry of Finance and other relevant government ministries, agencies, and commissions to develop more realistic revenue forecasts, especially in extractive and other complex sectors. More realistic revenue forecasting contributes significantly to the credibility of the budget by avoiding frequent recasts of the budget and slashing of appropriations due to shortfalls. Aiming for a bigger budget is good, but what is better is aiming for a bigger and realistic budget. Improve the efficiency, predictability, and accountability of the budget execution process. In this regard, the top priority will be to reduce red tape or the time it takes to process allotments and get payments through the Ministry of Finance. We shall develop average timelines for business processes at the Ministry, which will be rigorously monitored to ensure adherence. As tough as it may seem, my goal is to lead a ministry where documents, vouchers, move through the system without being pushed. Shortening transaction processing time has a positive multiplier effect on the economy as a whole. First, it creates predictability and certainty that government will make payments of budgetary appropriations and allotments within a reasonable amount of time, thus reducing the implied premium the private sector has on the cost of goods and services procured by government. When government, ministry, agencies, and commissions legitimately procure goods, services, and capital items, the Ministry of Finance should make prompt payment to vendors and contractors. Over the past months, there has been great improvement in the timeliness of payment of salaries of government workers. I intend to sustain the gain and even improve on it. The ultimate goal will be to ensure that all, not just some, government employees are paid before the end of the month. Improving the efficiency of business processes will entail fully leveraging technology, including the IFMIS system that we launched in 2011. Improving compliance with financial management laws and regulations. One of the teething challenges that has been identified by the GSC and the Reform Coordination Unit at the Ministry of Finance is low compliance across government with financial management laws and regulations, particularly the PFM laws and its regulations, the PFM law and its regulations, and the PPCC Act and its regulations. Therefore, we intend to take steps and work with relevant stakeholders, including the GSC, to ensure the robust and comprehensive implementation of these laws and regulations. This will lead to proper accounting for government resources and prevention of fraud, waste, and abuse, thus indirectly saving resources to address urgent development priorities. In this regard, we intend to get strong support to strengthen the capacity of the GSC, the Internal Audit Agency, and other integrity institutions to execute their mandates. Review of the harmonization program for appropriate action. A few years ago, in the wake of a stagnating revenue envelope, the path taken by the government to address the high ratio of the public service wage bill to the total budget was to develop and implement the GOL pay harmonization program with the professed aim to ensure the sustainability of the public sector wage bill. What is incontrovertible is that the policy and its actual implementation have generated concerns among some stakeholders. Without going into the merits and demerits of the policy and its implementation, Without going into the merits and demerits of the policy and its implementation, if given a nod by the Liberian Senate through confirmation, one of my top priorities as Minister of Finance will be to work with the CSA and other government institutions, and including the legislature, with a single purpose of developing appropriate and realistic solutions to whatever genuine concerns that exist toward the policy and its implementation. I strongly believe that an appropriately incentivized and motivated government workforce is critical to government success. We must strike the right balance between maintaining a sustainable public sector wage bill and paying government employees decently. Ensuring prudent and disciplined debt management. When the government of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, came to power in 2006, one of the burdens inherited from the past was a huge debt overhang, amounting to more than 700% of GDP. Liberia had lost its credibility to borrow. We consequently acceded to the heavily indebted poor countries initiative, HIPIC, through a multi-stakeholder effort led by the Ministry of Finance. We reached the HIPIC completion point in 2010, triggering the cancellation of nearly $5 billion in external debt by our bilateral, multilateral, and commercial creditors. HIPIC completion point restored Liberia's right to borrow. To ensure that we borrowed responsibly and sustainably, we crafted a medium-term debt management strategy. Before reaching HIPIC completion point, we vetted the domestic debt by hiring external auditors and began settling domestic debt strictly in line with a domestic debt resolution strategy. As of June 2024, Liberia's total debt stock stood at $2.58 billion United States dollars, comprising $1.078 billion United States dollars for the 1.9% in domestic debt and $1.5 billion, that is 58.1% in external debt. The ratio of total debt stock to GDP stood at 56.65%, which means that we are now labeled as a country with a medium risk of debt distress. We are fast nearing the 60% threshold, where we will be unfortunately labeled as a country with high risks of debt distress, with all the attendant negative repercussions that such labeling brings. In addition, our annual debt service obligation is taking up bigger and bigger chunks of the fiscal space and consequently limiting the fiscal space for other government priorities. Therefore, prudent and disciplined debt management is not an option, it is a must. And I'm going to treat this as such if confirmed. Contracting new debt is not bad per se. What is key is what we are contracting debt for and at what terms. We cannot afford to contract debt at unfavorable terms and with limited rates of economic return. Given that the PFM law recognizes debt service as the first claim on government revenue, we cannot shirk our responsibility to settle legitimate and vetted domestic and external debt. So, we must dedicate resources annually to settle our debt. But we must approach debt repayment with discipline, transparency, and accountability. We will actively support Liberia's climate action agenda and work in tandem with the EPA and other relevant ministry agencies and commissions to leverage available climate finance opportunities for Liberia. We cannot afford to bury our hands in the sand to the ever-increasing threat that climate change poses to the achievement of our national development agenda. We must support all existing and soon-to-be developed strategies and action plans to improve adaptation and resilience to climate change and climate variability. We must also ensure that we position ourselves firmly to take full advantage of all available climate finance opportunities to fund our development agenda. Equally, given Liberia's huge natural resource endowments, including one of the largest swaths of forest cover in the world, we must strike the right balance between conservation and commercialization and attract the requisite resources to buttress our conservation intentions in a transparent, accountable, and equitable manner. Mr. Chairman, and honorable members of the Liberian Senate, what I have thus far delineated as some of the key priorities I intend to pursue is confirmed by the Honorable Liberian Senate. This is by no means an exhaustive list of what needs to be done to ensure sound fiscal management and sustainable development in our country. I will seek to benefit from the wisdom of Liberians and friends of Liberia, both at home and abroad, and have begun receiving and will continue to solicit brilliant ideas on what we need to do to serve our people better. Of course, I also intend to always seek and benefit from the wisdom and perspectives of the national legislature in leading the Ministry of Finance. I don't claim that, I repeat, I don't claim to know all. What I know is that I don't need to know all to succeed. Though I am also a technocrat in my own right, I understand the role of a minister is primarily the role of a leader, which can be compared to the role of a choir director. A choir director may not know how to sing all the tunes in the choir. What the choir director knows best is how and when to call a tune, or a combination of tunes, to get a melodious symphony. As Minister of Finance, I'm going to leverage the collective and individual wisdom and contribution of the workforce of the ministry. In a sense, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning is like the heart, and other government institutions are like other parts of the body. The heart pumps blood to other parts of the body. But if the heart fails to pump blood to a particular part of the body, that part of the body may suffer paralysis or other serious complications. What this means is that for the government as a whole to work well, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning must work well. Quintessentially, therefore, my role as Minister of Finance and Development Planning, if confirmed, will be to make the ministry work well. And that's precisely what I intend to do. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thanks a million for this opportunity.
Please, no clapping here. Please.
Well, folks, you just listened to
Mr.
Designate.
Thank you.
Outlining his
Minister Designate for your presentation. Because the committee, please, because the committee will break after the hearing into our committee room, we will want to give other senators that are not part of the committee to be the first. Yeah, I mean they are here because we are the committee, will be here. Except where, yeah. Please, we want, please, let non-members speak first, please. Yeah, the members will have time to. So with that said, although we'll have a little dispensation, I saw my subcommittee here waving that he has something after here. So we'll be here. We don't have to preempt. Why would we preempt? We're here to do the librarian work. Please. You don't. No, it will end. We are here to do the work of the librarian work. Please. Let them take our 10 minutes and go before they say we came here and today. So we'll take Senator Snow, Senator Dillon, Senator Sarah in our order. Momo Sarah, sorry. Senator Snow, okay. Then Senator Jennifer Sebo in our order. Senator Snow, Senator Dillon, Senator Momo Sarah, Senator Sebo in our order. Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, I intend to use my 10 minutes by asking 10 questions. So I don't know if we should, if you respond to all in one or it will be interactive. All right.
Yeah, interaction will be 10 minutes, please.
Thank you.
You will decide whether you.
Let me start.
The co-chair will keep the time. Co-chair keeping the time.
Let me start by congratulating Mr. Ngafua for this big sacrifice. You were not jobless. You left a very good job to come and sacrifice for this country. My first question would be, are there special arrangements made for you in terms of salary, benefit that will be different from your predecessor, or you are making a sacrifice to take the same salary and benefit as your predecessor? My second question, if confirmed, are there plans for immediate action to graduate from the national embarrassment the executive and the legislature is faced with amidst allegation of budget alteration? My third question reads, member states of ECOWAS have a swift transfer through the application of payment for ECOWAS levy. As it stands, Liberia is the highest indebted country to ECOWAS with over 18 million United States dollars. Can we agree, like other countries are doing, that in our budget law, we agree that the ECOWAS levy is bifurcated as soon as it's collected so that we don't go through the temptation of going through or spending money that is not intended for domestic use. The fifth question reads, what plans could you put in place to revisit the METEX and CTN arrangement, which seems to be highly protected by some government agencies and amidst the hardship Liberians and foreign nationals private and business entity are faced with NETEX and CTA. The sixth question goes. Liberia owes the Ngafua Electricity Company over 19 million United States dollars. And we have been threatening this connection in the next 1 week. 1 week because they wrote us on the 26th of August. So we're only left with 1 week to make payment or Liberia will be disconnected. Are there any immediate plans to service some of the debt, make some payments to save our image? The next question reads, what are your plans for infusing cash in the economy, which seems to be dying right now? There's no circulation of cash. We passed the national budget, hospitals are not being funded, schools are not being funded. What are some of your plans? The second question is, the whopping amount of 20 million was authorized for disbursement, by the Ministry of Public Works to ensure the President's pronouncement that no car will get stuck in the mud within the first 100 days of his administration. Can you assure us that despite the failure of the Ministry of Public Works to live up to the President's pronouncement, that you as Chief Disbursement Officer of Nigeria will ensure value for money and not just disbursement? The next question is, you became victim of political reprisal by the then Minister of Finance of the last administration when you first got an international offer. Will you pay tit for tat, or will you be Minister of Finance for all Nigerians? The last question reads, members of the legislature are complaining of very disrespectful attitude by some officials of your ministry with specific mention of your assistant minister for budget. As director of budget, minister of finance, and foreign minister, you have no record of being aggressive or disrespectful to the legislature. Can you assure us that you will share similar attitude of yours with your subordinates? And please accept my congratulations. I think with all the confirmation hearing we've had, it was the best presentation to give us a real roadmap for the Senate. Congratulations.
Colleagues, please allow the minister to respond to the senator's questions. Minister, you have the floor. Yes, and minister, you know we have a lot, so be concise with your answers.
You know, when you talk about asking 10 questions, I thought you were joking. I'm really content.
And I 11 minutes.
That's good. So let me try to address your concerns as quickly as possible. Salaries, whether, and coming back to the salary scale that is this year. Let me say this, Honorable. My education was funded by Liberia. I got a master's degree through the Central Bank of Liberia, primarily through meritocracy. My mother, my father could not afford. So when it comes to Liberia, I'm always in debt. So I've come to pay back some of my debt to Liberia. You talk about ETL, ECOWAS trade levy. You know, we solved this problem before. We bifurcated it before. It was working before. And I don't see why it will not work again. It will work. Because our credibility is at stake. We will bifurcate as is expected through the ECOWAS protocol. NETEX, CTN, they are debates on all sides. I've been following things through media and other sources, formally, informally, patchy. So I know that to take a firm position, I must get a universe of information on all sides. So I've come to enter, to get the universe, and to work with colleagues to ensure that the best interest of Nigeria is protected in whatever decision we take. The debt situation with Cote d'Ivoire concerning electricity is part of the thing, the issue I'm talking about there, or obligations of government. They are huge. I don't want to scare you because, but that's why we came to work with others so that we prioritize our priorities. I know the role of the Minister of Finance is to be a gatekeeper. Sometimes you have to allow the rightful people in and stop some of the others from entering. And that process can be uncomfortable sometimes. The key is that we must, because debt service payment and other claims, they are first service, they are by law. The PFM law provides that, you know. So I would work with police to see their challenges. The challenges are huge. The thing about budget is that for one person to come in, sometimes somebody must go out. Hard trade-offs. So we'll see what to do. But we must definitely ensure that the country's image is restored or is not battered. You talk about plans for infusing cash in the economy. As I said, when I made the analogy about the Ministry of Finance being the heart, and other entities of government and even the private sector, they are part of the body. When we make the Ministry of Finance to work well, we need, I stress that we need to start firstly with a credible budget. When we get a credible budget, it is more likely than not we'll execute on that budget. There will be predictability. People who will see the budget items should take positions. Government ministries and agencies should contract services, knowing full well that we will pay and also pay on time. When we do that and move things quickly, you know, cash will go out there. The cycle of flow will help us. Businesses will expand. So efficiency of operation is key. And I'm taking it very, very seriously. That's why I talk about developing timelines for agri-processes. I'm not a minister that sits in an ivory tower. Folks at the Ministry of Finance know what I used to say, are getting the better of the beast. And we're getting the better of the beast to understand what is happening, and people will have to explain delays. And if delays are not justified, I do not shy from taking right actions. You talk about an assistant minister. You know, one of the things I learned is that leadership, someone can be working not effectively, not efficiently, and even dishonestly, sometimes based on the tools set at the top. Sometimes. I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and give them leadership. Monitor them and see what they will do. I do not go there with prejudices. I've heard a whole lot. I've heard more than the thing I know. But everyone will be given the benefit of the doubt, and I will try to coach because I'm a former budget director. I understand some of the reasons why things delay. Some of it could be technical. If it requires me to go and join them on the computer to make things move, we will do that. But things must move. I said to you that the vision is for allotments and vouchers and documents to move without being pushed, with all the implication of being pushed. So you talk about...
So they call reprisal.
Huh? Oh, reprisal. Let me say this. My friend and brother, Samuel, you know, we're all at the university, right? When I was president of ALSU, Samuel, you all call him D to it. I used to like to call him Samuel Doe Twain. He was the opposition leader. But I consider every one of us, including Honorable Nukwe, I see Honorable Bill Twa, I see a lot of former UL people here, and Honorable Bagay is back there. You know, we all went through the crucibles. So, when I got in government, there was an issue about victimization of brothers to Samuel Twain. And he had one person in Toronto, and he came to me, and I intervened. He was not victimized. So, there are too many pressures. I am not a person of retribution. The reason I think is that, and the reason I think that way is that if you set out to pay debt, you may not succeed because you will be looking in the rear view mirror. A driver that spends all his or her time looking in the rear view mirror will veer off and fall in the ditch. I'm looking forward. Everyone is a brother and everyone is a friend. So I'm looking forward. No retribution. The list is long, so
okay. Yeah, I think it's almost time. Okay, so colleagues, like there's no cutting all the different questions. I hope all of us took that into consideration, so we are not repeating questions that have been asked. So with that said, we take Senator Dillon, Senator Momo Saros, Senator Sibu in that order. That's the first batch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I'm the nominee. Media, welcome. Mr. Nominee, good afternoon. The Capitol building here is filled with people. The gallery is filled with people. I've been seeing a number of media people here for a long time. For a long time. It says a lot. Everybody who has come here today, I believe, apart from the media, I came to do your work. They came to support you. If anybody asks any question that seems to be challenging, there will be murmuring. The only thing they want, confirm the man. When we confirm you, and you are not performing, they can forget that they came here. They can say that you're confirming a man. So I don't take confirmation very lightly. It's a job interview. I may not always get it right. I don't question your academic, professional credentials. I want to be clear on the record. It's challenging to question your moral conduct because I haven't seen anything that I need to go after when it comes to your credentials. Normally people think credentials is just paper, whole paper. Your work attitude, your work ethics, your suitability also constitutes qualification. Your competence. I want to make it clear that a job interview will determine my vote. I have few questions pointed within my time. I want into action. What's your view of the current state of the economy? Question.
Mr. Minister, he wants you to be interactive.
Yeah,
may respond.
Yeah, respond.
Well, from a person that was part of the fiscal management team in 2006, I told you about debt overhang of more than 700% of GDP. We are worrying about that situation of just 56.65%. So I look at it from the perspective of the glass half full than half empty. You know, we are still growing. Last year we grew. This year we are projected to grow more than 5%. but growth alone does not translate into solving all the problems of our country. There are challenges and there are headwinds. We need to sustain the progress and miss the challenges. Working in tandem with the central bank and other members of the economic management team, we can make it better. We're not in a hole. We are making progress. There are challenges that we can conquer if we work together in unison.
So are you suggesting that the fundamentals of the economy is wrong?
Yeah, this song.
Okay, very good. My second concern has to do with civil servant salary, possibility for increment in civil servant salary. You are coming to take over. When we were campaigning in the name of rescue mission, I picked up something from President Walker when he was a candidate. He said, if you pretend to pay people, the people will pretend to work. If you pretend to pay people, and that pay doesn't seem to be okay, the people will pretend to work, and the output will always be poor. What's your view on the increment in civil service salary? How soon? Question.
Thank you, Honorable Delon. You know, you made me to go back to the first budget we crafted, when the average pay was $50 for civil service. There were arguments in the room as to what to do. And one of the views, and I was clear, it would be scandalous if we did not increase the pay. People were, but we could find macroeconomic justification for doing nothing. But we started on the drive. We took it from 15. And now the average, I think, should be more than 150. We definitely haven't reached our destination. You know, there have been bumps in the road. But what the thing as show is that we're going to review with the view to taking action. Because to grow the economy will depend on government workers. If we must push them to do more, we must do more for them. That's fundamental to my being. So as I said in the statement, we're going to work with the CSA and others so as to begin to take action in the next budget, making sure that we understand the challenges, discuss with all stakeholders, and determine the magnitude of the action. For me, it just has to be the magnitude. It's not whether we must do it. We have to do it. So as to the quantum, we need to sit, review, discuss, and apply what we agreed to consultations. But definitely, action must be taken. And action must be taken, I think, if I get the endorsement and the support of all stakeholders in the process beginning next fiscal year.
So I take it that should we confirm you'll be the Minister of Finance at the submission of the 2025 budget to the legislature. Do we expect to see that projection in the draft budget? Question.
But as I said to you, from what I said, I think that we must do more in increasing the size of the revenue. We must bake a bigger cake so that people can get bigger shares. Who are we depending on to bake the cake? The workers. And so if we should do that, we should move simultaneously in addressing the situation of workers. As I said, there are other stakeholders in the process. The Minister of Finance is not a lone ranger. He's a player, but we are going to push, hoping that we get the The buy-in of all stakeholders will determine the quantum. But to me, from my vantage point, it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of how much. And so we must work, we must grow this cake. And I think we're on the path to growing the cake. But as we grow the cake, we should grow the expectations of our people.
Thank you, Mr. Nominee. I have 3 more questions I will just ask also when you within the time. What's your view on the growing call for reduction in salary and benefit of public, high-ranking public officials, including us as legislators? What's your view on my bill of 5,000 that I want to reintroduce? Question.
Don't touch that one.
The senator defending the nominee already.
Yes.
Please. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Yes, you say you wanted to ask all This is my view. It's not just a view on your bill. It is a view on compensation across the public sector generally. I think that we need to have a serious conversation across government. Government is not just the legislature. It's not just the judiciary. We have some, and based on where you sit, you may be unlucky to get something worrisome. How can that be? I gave you this. The public service sometimes transforms into public torture. How many persons would believe that for 3 years as being of the cabinet, foreign minister, when all the issue of high pay was going on, the pay of the foreign minister was 3,000 gross. When they take it off, 2004. It was a regulation here, right? In other parts of government, there were issues. There were, things were handsome. No insurance, no medical, no pension. You leave government.
Still that way.
You leave government. If you are unlucky to leave before the 15th, you don't get the pay for that month. So the risks, we have to look at this thing. Members of the Honorable Librarian Senate, they are serious. We must look at it. It's not just a legislature thing. It's not just an SOE thing. It's not just a ministry thing. It's a government thing. Let's incentivize, but let's do it for rhyme and reason. For SOEs, I know that there will be questions coming on that. Let me anticipate it. They were structured to mirror the private sector. Private sector compensation is generally handsome, but private sector also pay for performance. I think what we need to do is to start to craft a performance-based pay system, whereby if you have a managing director whose innovation, energy, and drive is helping us to get $10 or $15 million more, should that person be compensated like somebody who goes and sleeps behind the wheel? Is it fair? We can have commissioners, we have everybody. Do we give people what we call key performance indicators that we track? To say at the end of the year, the boards are looking like, okay, Mr. MD, these are the targets, profitability targets, efficiency targets. And let's see what, and if you achieve these things, you will get this. Do we do that? We need to start to look at those. So there's not an issue of how much, there's an issue of looking at it. I would suggest, to be succinct, okay, everybody is afraid of study. But therefore we need to study and come up with something that we can look at, legislature, judiciary, executive, and come up with a pay system across government that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, do you commit that you will submit and publish budget performance report after an Igbo law? Do you commit to that? Lastly, do you commit that these questions are questions that you will answer on? Do you commit that domestic debt list will be submitted at the budget hearing, every budget hearing, as long as the minister and quarterly as the minister will pay? Do you commit question, and after that you?
Honorable DeLong, apparently you know, people at the ministry, they are listening to you. They're listening to you grading me to commit, right? Do you think I'm going to take anyone to make me to lie to Honorable DeLong? On oath? So the message is clear. I'm on oath. We need to present reports and reports on time. The message is clear. This is a mandate. I wouldn't want for this interaction to be repeated, and because of the inefficiency or laziness or whatever of somebody below the chain of command,